Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. Mr. Warren Hayes, that is who I am, right here. Special, out of the ordinary, breaking out of the Thursday night box, because sometimes you gotta live on the edge. You just gotta do some things to keep keep the blood pumping. You know, it's like, you fall into a routine, then all of a sudden it's like, I gotta do something to break out. And of course, I'm going way overboard with what I'm doing here, because it's just another special pay-per-view prediction show, preview show, but I say just another. This is very unfair. It's not just another. First and foremost, it is a pay-per-view preview, not review, because it hasn't happened, a preview of the 2022 Royal Rumble. So that in and about itself is something. But it's even more special because of my guest who is joining me today to chat about this big event, one of the top pay-per-views of World Wrestling Entertainment Inc.'s portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, the Queen of the Ring herself, Alex, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing very, very well. I'm so excited for the Royal Rumble.
Aren't we excited, though? I think the Royal Rumble is generally regarded as a favorite, right? It's a fan favorite, isn't it?
Yeah,
I haven't met anyone who's like poo-poo Royal Rumble, really.
Yeah, I feel like the majority of people, it's everyone's favorite Rumble. It's part of the final four, or not the final four, but the top four pay-per-views. It's also a great introduction for any fan, whether you've been a longtime fan and you've been watching for a while, or you fell out of wrestling and you want to get back in, or you're a brand new fan. This is a perfect pay-per-view to start, and it's on the road to WrestleMania, baby.
I like to say it's the on-ramp to the road to WrestleMania.
It's the WrestleMania 33 on-ramp of WrestleMania. It's long, but we're getting there.
Alex, we're already chatting about the Royal Rumble, but I want to thank you very much for joining me today. It's fantastic. Obviously, we're not. This isn't live. We're recording this before the event. Obviously, because it's a preview show. Like, this is the kind of stuff that goes through my brain. But Alex, first and foremost, just in case someone's been living under a rock, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Alex. My channel is Queen of the Ring on YouTube and Twitch and all the socials, Instagram and Twitter. And I just am a huge wrestling fan and I love to talk about it. I'm passionate about it. I also have a show with my best friend called Church of Joshi, and we cover all Joshi wrestling. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the rundown, I guess.
And you're a big Animal Crossing fan.
Yes, I am a big Animal Crossing fan.
As I am too.
I've been making a whole bunch of the vacation homes. Happy Home Paradise.
Okay, we're gonna go on a tangent here. You got the DLC, because I haven't yet. Because I'm very passionate about my island and about itself. I think it's the third time that I've done a complete redesign. So, are you enjoying the DLC? How are you liking it?
Okay, so when the DLC first came out, it was something that I would play every night before I went to bed. It was very relaxing. The DLC for me gave me a lot of inspiration of designing my my island and my villagers' houses, because once you unlock, or once you beat the DLC, then you can actually decorate your villagers' houses. And also you gain access to more items with the DLC, so you can buy more items and then you can get more money to buy those items. And then when you move up and you beat the DLC, then you can unlock the catalog, which I just recently did on my Twitch channel yesterday on Thursday, and it's good. It's worth the investment, especially since we're not getting any more updates.
Yeah. This was the final one. I was very satisfied with the cooking. Like, I really enjoy cooking in video games for some reason. I like cooking but in video games it's like, oh sweet, there's a cooking system. It's like, you're playing a game that has no checkpoints. You die, you have to start over again. Okay, but there's cooking. Ooh, I'm just gonna dive right in. If they made Dark Souls with cooking, I'd be all in, kind of thing. But that's good to know. Like, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But yeah. So go ahead and follow Alex. She's wonderful and does all sorts of great things. Very, very invested, and yes, very passionate about pro wrestling, which is why you're here specifically. The Animal Crossing stuff is one thing, but hey, Royal Rumble. So we talked about it a little bit, and I always like to start, just very generally when we start doing these preview shows. How do you feel about the build to the big Royal Rumble this year overall?
Well, I don't watch Raw. So,
So that
I don't know
that.
what's going on with the build up there. But I have been watching a little bit of SmackDown, and that's the thing about the Royal Rumble, is that no matter good or bad, there's always fans coming in, because
Sure.
like we said, it's the road to WrestleMania. It's almost everyone's favorite pay-per-view. So I feel like whether there is a good build or there's a bad build, people are still going to watch it and enjoy it. And there's the nostalgia factor going into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the single matches that are happening outside of the actual Royal Rumble matches, they're interesting. There's a lot of potential for different opponents to really build themselves. But overall, I think the whole Royal Rumble, I'm more excited for the women, obviously, but also with the announcements that they've had. Although I wish they were surprises, like Renee said on her Twitter, but I'm very excited for the Rumble. I think that the build, it seems like a lot of people are excited on Twitter. Maybe.
Probably, but
I don't know.
But
hard
I think,
to gauge.
I feel like it's an easy wait, but we're calling it a pay-per-view. Alex, what are we doing? It's a premium live event now.
No, it's a pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view.
But
how dare they destroy my childhood?
I know, right? It's like, and how do you tell that to someone, right? How do you go to someone and say, someone said, so what are you doing Saturday night? Oh, I'm watching a sports entertainment premium live event. And they're going to be like,
so a pay-per-view? Yeah.
So, it's like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't know what that means. I'm watching a wrestling pay-per-view. Oh, okay. Anyway. But I think it's an easy one. I agree. I think it's an easy one to build, and you kind of want a little, little bits and bobs as you go. But I think ultimately the event in and about itself, I think, lives pretty much on your own. And I'm glad you brought that up. The idea of surprises, right? Which was a little bit of a part of the discourse in the community. I saw a lot of people talking about that, principally spurred on by Renee Paquette, her own comments, like you said. Revealing Mickie James being a part of the Royal Rumble. Then last week we have Lita showing up to being like, yeah, I'm good to go, and she's been entered. There's been the Bella Twins, Michelle McCool. How important do you feel surprises are to the Royal Rumble?
And that's the element of the Royal Rumble. It's the element of surprise. I feel like Royal Rumbles are built around that, and especially over the years, back in the first few years of the Royal Rumble, I mean, there wasn't really much surprises, right? Like you would just get everyone who was just on the roster, and especially around that time in the 90s and the early 2000s, there were a lot of people to choose from to get to enter the Royal Rumble. Where now, I mean, we could poke fun at the releases, but now it's just like, who's really going to show up at the Rumble and who's going to have a great moment, because WWE is all about those moments, right?
Agreed. Yep.
So that's why, and I would agree with a lot of people. I feel like that's why a lot of people were a little like disappointed where they announced people like Summer Rae, the Bellas, Lita, and Mickie James, where this is the first event that's live since the 2020 Royal Rumble. And with that Royal Rumble, we had a huge surprise with Edge, and there was huge pop. So with the women especially, like, there could have been that crazy trending, people just online like, oh my God, I can't believe Mickie James. How did they pull this off? And we did freak out within the moment of the announcement, but there's just something special about when it happens in real time, when it happens. Yeah. Like it's it should have happened in real time.
And like I get why they'd want to promote why you'd want to promote Mickie James ahead of time. You know, Mickie James in and about itself, because of the fact that she works for another company now. She's currently their women's division's champion. You know, plus the way that she was fired, you know, that whole meta that goes around it. You know, I can understand why, you know, let's get people talking about the Royal Rumble. Let's get them really excited about it. Let's drop this. I can understand that. But I also am a big fan of the surprises. And it seems like, look, you in the US, right? You have Peacock. You're already subscribed to it. WWE already has your cash, right? Why wouldn't you like just take the opportunity to pepper lots of big surprises in there? Because likely if you have Peacock to watch the WWE content, you're pretty much going to be watching the Royal Rumble regardless of what gets hyped beforehand. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it's going back to what we were saying, where it's like everyone's still going to watch the Rumble,
Right,
you know, because the Rumble is one of the best pay-per-views. But also with the factor of Mickie James alone, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember the last time a world champion from a forbidden promotion entered the Royal Rumble. I don't think that's ever happened because she is Impact Knockouts champion, but that championship is considered a world title now.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the last time that that's happened. I feel like that already merits the women to main event this year. That's a huge moment for them.
It's really big. I agree.
Yeah.
Because I mean, maybe like I'd have to go back and check, but maybe Dan Severn when they were doing the NWA invasion back in the day, because he was NWA champion at the time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and then there was like the WCW title during 92, or maybe it wasn't, or maybe before Ric Flair coming in, but even still,
but
like,
even there,
it's been more than 20 years.
They were calling him in 1992. They were calling him the alleged Real World's champion. That's how they were referring to him. So it's not even as if WWE was outright recognizing the big gold belt, you know? Anyway, but yeah, that's an interesting point. That's a very, very interesting point. I don't think it's really ever been a thing, especially, well, definitely not for women. That's absolutely sure. Well, let's start talking about the matches. We'll start with some singles matches, if you're okay with that, and we'll work our way up to the ones we really want to talk about. Raw Women's Championship. Spoiler alert. Raw Women's Championship will be defended. Becky Lynch, current champion, versus Piper Niven. Dewdrop. They're not going to change her name because they released new music for her. I saw it on my Spotify feed, and they're not changing her name.
I'm convinced they don't like cool names. Like, Piper Niven was already such a pretty cool name.
I thought it worked great for her. It was a reference to her indie name, Viper. You know, it's like everything sort of worked. And, you know, when Eva Marie gave her that name, it was clearly just like a name used to devalue her, right? To just be like, I'm going to give you a goofy name, Dewdrop. It's like, okay, whatever, you know, but you'd feel like when she got rid of the shackles of Eva Marie, she'd be like, no, call me Piper Niven, kind of thing.
Yeah, break free, right? Yeah.
What do you think about this match? What's on your mind?
So here's what I'm thinking with this match. I think that this hopefully could be a really good match for Dewdrop to showcase really who she is, because like you said, she broke the shackles with Eva Marie, and she won the #1 contender match on Raw. So her going into this match, I think it's more likely she is not going to win this match. Becky is hot right now, and I don't think it's Dewdrop's time. I hate saying her name, but I don't think it's Dewdrop's time to be the champion. But I hope that this is a good match to showcase really who she is, because when she was announced for the main Young Classics, I remember so many people loved her,
Oh,
you
she's
know?
fantastic.
Exactly. And so she's much more established on the roster already. And with the resurgence that we've seen with Liv Morgan, I think it's possible that all of these women that weren't showcased enough last year have the potential to now step up a little bit this
Sure.
year. And I feel like this would be a good match for Dewdrop to kind of just open people's eyes a little bit and bring back that like Piper Nevin style to the ring.
That kind of aggression. Well, you know, she's already brought back the leather coat, so that's
Mhm.
already something big. Like you know, I think the WrestleMania match is Becky versus Bianca. Like, I don't think there's
Yeah.
anything. I don't think there's anything else really that you can do. So I as well don't see Becky dropping. And here's my thing with Becky, and who I love instinctively, passionately. Well, maybe not passionately, but I really do really like Becky Lynch. But I think that I think WWE has an identity crisis with her. Like, they don't know exactly. She's supposed to be a heel. Let's put it that way, right? She's supposed to be a heel, but then she fights Charlotte Flair, right, at Survivor Series, and
Survivor Series.
clearly is established as a babyface, and she's cutting babyface promos, and then she gets over to Liv, and I always thought it was a tough spot for Liv, because despite the fact that Becky's a heel, she still gets great crowd reactions. They cut to the audience to show little girls going, "Yay, Becky Lynch!" You know, it's like, how is Liv supposed to elevate herself when Liv's Becky's position, or an alignment anyways, very wibbly wobbly. Then we get to Dewdrop, who is a heel. She's been attacking Bianca Belair, being like, "This is my spot, it's my time." Becky's a heel too. Dewdrop lays her out on not on SmackDown, on Raw. And you're like, what are they doing? Like, it's confusing, and it's confusing because how are we supposed to react? Who am I rooting for in this match ultimately? You know? I'm rooting for Dewdrop to have a good showing, just like you. I think because she is a fantastic wrestler, and if they let her go, she'll surprise a lot of people, because her work on the British indie scene a few years ago is just phenomenal stuff. But yeah, she's not. I think we're in agreement. She's not winning on this one. If we were to make a prediction, Becky retains.
Yeah.
I think so too. All right, the next match, mixed match, tag team match. I never know how to call it. Mixed match, tag match, mixed tag match, but under mixed match rules.
A mixer. The mixer.
Could be that too. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Maryse. You know what? I drew a parallel in regards to this feud here. I drew a parallel exactly with what The Miz did with then Daniel Bryan, when Daniel Bryan came back from his injury after that very successful feud with Big Cass, if we all remember. The Miz got into it's basically the same thing. Miz gets into a feud with a beloved babyface who was forced into retirement due to injury, then makes a return, and then gets the wives involved.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened. That's exactly what happened with Daniel Bryan too.
But also John Cena and Nikki Bella as well. Like, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
But
I think that Miz and Maryse, like, they are the it couple in wrestling that are going after other couples, and I support it.
I hadn't thought of that. The main difference that John never had to retire, right? He was never had to retire because of an injury.
Right.
But you're right. it always comes full circle. Like creative is like, it's like Miz is like constantly saying, how can we get Maryse involved? Maryse wants to get in the ring or whatever,
But
you
you
know.
know what? Good. Maurice is very entertaining.
She's awesome.
And she's so awesome. And them together, like that's the thing with this feud and this match is Edge and Beth Phoenix can hold themselves on their own, right? They're fine. If Edge wants to go out and have a feud with somebody else, Beth Phoenix wants to go to WrestleMania and have a feud with somebody, even for a title. That's possible. And I think it could be possible with Miz and Maurice as well, but they're just so much better together. They're so entertaining together. And for me with this match, I wish that it was just Beth and Maurice and the guys were valeting. Maybe we'll get that at WrestleMania because I think this tag match would be really good at WrestleMania.
Okay.
And that would have been good. We would get another women's match. We would get the guys involved. And I feel like Edge would be comfortable in that position of, you know, coming out and valeting for Beth Phoenix, you know?
A little role reversal on that part. That would be interesting. I agree.
Yeah, right? I think that'd be really, that's a moment. That's cute. But I want Miz and Maurice to win only because I want them to like go out. I want them to win and I want them to show up at Raw and gloat about it, you know, because that's what they do best. They gloat about it. They're cocky. They're rich. They're beautiful. Like,
they speak French.
Exactly. They speak French. Exactly. They have bricks in their purses. They should win.
That's a choice, right? To walk around like with bricks in your handbags, right?
I mean, it's a survival for a lot of women, so I can understand it.
Fair. Look, I don't know what more to add here. You know, I've watched a bit of this build. I'm gonna, you know, I'm at a point where if there's too much talk in a build, it turns me off. You know, I'm just like, okay, once you guys are done talking, then. And that's what it's all been. Even with Edge and Miz, it's been just a lot of yap. And you know, my show, the Rated Edge show, I don't remember what it's called, is better. No, Miz TV is the best. I'm like, dudes, it's just, you know, talk segments on a wrestling show. It's not that big a deal. Look, I'll go with Miz and Maurice too because I have no pony in this race, and I agree it would be I think it'd be the more entertaining conclusion to this. I agree. I'm with you. Universal Championship. I don't know if you've heard of this gentleman, Roman Reigns. He's the current champion.
He's the head of the table. The tribal chief.
That's right.
I've heard a thing or two about him.
Versus Seth Rollins.
No. It's Seth freaking
Rollins. That's right. It is official now. Seth freaking Rollins. You're right. Apologies. So how about that brand split? How's it working for you?
Not very well.
Do you think that this is an answer to the thing that everyone has been observing for months at this time, is that there's no one for Roman anymore to challenge?
Well, that's the thing, is that they just don't want to acknowledge the other people that are there for Roman, you know?
Do you have an example? Do you have someone that you're like...
Mustafa Ali would be good if they gave him a chance.
If they decided to actually push him, sure.
Yeah, I think Sami Zayn, he's entertaining. He's really good in the ring. He definitely can carry a feud. Who else is on SmackDown? Exactly. But also, like, Kofi
That's a good point, too.
Yeah, you know, like, who else is in that company? But I think Kofi Kingston, like, there's plenty of people that are good. They're just not doing the job that they need to do behind the scenes in order to have a legitimate opponent for Roman. The story makes sense, of course. Former Shield members, yada yada yada. They were really doing a good job promoting that on SmackDown last week, especially with all the vignettes and the video packages and stuff. But it's very telling just how much faith they don't have with the majority of their roster anymore. Right. And this match proves it, because yes, the story of another superstar from another brand, Raw, coming into SmackDown and challenging an old I was gonna say old flame, but but an older companion, right? Someone who you were
Sure.
with in a faction together. You have gone to war with each other. I mean, Seth Rollins has that moment at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, and he pinned Roman actually
Mm-hmm.
at that. So if does it make sense? Is it good? Yes, right now, especially when we're a little worrisome with all of these releases and who's actually going to show up at the Rumble and who's left on the roster. Like this is a clear picture that they're probably running out of ideas. I do still think this is going to be a good match. There are two wrestlers that always put on a great match.
It, it,
It's a no-brainer. But I don't see Roman losing the title.
well, I don't see it either. I think
Yeah.
it's going like I think it's a whole other discussion for a whole other time. But um, I think like I'm with you. These guys are too talented for this match to stink. You know, I
Mhm.
don't think it will suck. I think they'll be given whatever they need. I think it's gonna be like, guys, do go ahead and go do it. I'm always worried about the finishes in WWE. That's always like one thing where I'm like, ugh. But outside of that, there's no. But I'm also with you. I think this is, if anything, this match sort of shines a light on how, you said it yourself, little faith they have on the people on their roster. If we go back to when Brock was Universal Champion, you say when,
Mhm.
Warren, because that's happened often, but like his 2019 run, he was
Mhm.
fighting Kofi Kingston, he was fighting Finn Balor, he was fighting Rey Mysterio, right? He
Mhm.
had like this one-offs where you're like, maybe they will, but they probably won't, kind of thing. And I remember the Finn match. It was great. I remember the Rey Mysterio match. It was great too. These little Brock Lesnar like 10-minute, 9-minute sprints, where
Mhm.
it's just like, and the smaller guys trying to get some offense, but they don't do that with Roman. It's just, they bring in a contender, and he has the long matches. Not that the long matches necessarily bother me, but he has the longer matches, and it's always this circle of people that you kind of expect, and then they have to go pull someone from Raw because now on SmackDown they're like, well, we don't have anyone, but like you said, they do have people there. They do have people that they can use.
Yeah.
It's
It's
weird.
it's it's bizarre because Roman is now he's like that legitimate heel, right? He's that legitimate heel that everyone is at least kind of happy to boo in a way. I think
Mm-hmm.
some people are saying that he's a little stale right now, but at the same time, like again, like you said, they were feeding everyone to Brock Lesnar, and they could do the same with Roman. And I think Roman is at a status in not only in his career, but also within the company where he can put some of these like younger guys over. And I say
Oh,
younger guys because it's they're not, like
yeah.
people like Finn Balor, people like Kofi Kingston, people like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, so many people are not young, but we've barely seen them, and especially in this main title scene, where if you're not going to drop the title off Roman anytime soon, then feed him these people,
Yeah.
so at least you can build them a little bit more so that when it is their time, it's more believable.
I would even say go ahead, WWE, and make yourselves a mid card, like a proper
Yeah.
mid card. You have a mid card title that we barely see. The Intercontinental Championship on one side. It's like you barely, proper mid card that is used essentially, which is what it's for, to try out some people, put them out there, see who
Mhm.
connects, heat them up so that they can become a credible challenge afterwards. So then if Roman
Yeah.
goes through them, then you're like, okay, well, he tried, and whatever, then you can do a rematch but yeah. in this circumstance here, what do you think? Roman retains, or is Seth freaking Rollins going out with the belt?
I predict that Seth freaking Rollins is going to have an amazing outfit. Uh, but unfortunately, it's not going to have him win it. I think Roman's taking it.
Sounds fair. I'm with you. I don't think Roman drops anything until WrestleMania. It doesn't make sense. WWE Championship, Brock Lesnar now, we spoke of him, is taking on Bobby Lashley. In the minds of a lot of people, bit of a dream match.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even go as far as to say that this should have happened 15 years ago.
Yep.
But here we are nonetheless. They're still two prime athletes. They're, just genetically made different from you and I, Alex. Just to be able to.
They're big, meaty men that are about to slap some big meat next Saturday.
There you go. You excited for this one? Okay.
And I'll tell you why. There needs to be one match that has to be either my bathroom break or my snack break, right?
Okay.
Let's be honest. And I think that Brock is not losing that title. I do not think he's losing that title. And especially them going into WrestleMania, they need someone like him to hold the title like that. I don't think that he's going to lose the title. Do I think it's going to be a fantastic match? Hell yeah. And I can't wait to watch it the next day. But I just personally think that this is going to be a good match. It's a long time coming. A lot of fans have been really preaching for this match. Yes. And I agree. It should have happened 15 years ago. But alas, we're here with lumberjack Brock Lesnar with his cute little man bun. And we have Bobby Lashley, who is now like a former champion. So going into this match, it's a very good match. I think it's going to be a good again 10-minute match, because Brock Lesnar loves his 10-minute matches.
One of these sprints, sure.
Yeah, it's probably going to be one of those sprints. I think a lot of people are predicting that this might main event the pay-per-view, or the entertainment, whatever we're calling it these days. But I think that Rumbles should main event. It's a Royal Rumble. It should main, that's another conversation for later. But yeah, I think that Brock Lesnar is going to win this. They just gave him the title. Again, going into WrestleMania, they're probably going to need that bigger face to sell the tickets, to sell the pay-per-views, to sell the whole entire show, the whole entire weekend in general. But I think that this is just the beginning of a feud that will carry on to WrestleMania, whether or not they add somebody else. Maybe if they added Big E, which that's 3 big meat slapping on each other, and I think everyone would enjoy that. And we've seen that before, where they've added people last minute and turned it into a triple threat or even a fatal 4-way. But I think that this feud, maybe it ends in a DQ, maybe it ends in a no time, something like that, where the match itself, where I think it can carry out to WrestleMania.
Sure. I'm looking forward to it, because I've always been of the thought that these two guys should have, fought 15 years ago, and they have, somewhat similar paths, and with the UFC stuff, and they're enormously, freakishly strong guys. There's a lot of there's a lot of complimentary stuff that I like here. Now, you were saying that, moving into WrestleMania, this feud can continue. Maybe they can add Big E. So you're not of a certain persuasion of fan out there that is feeling that WrestleMania might end up being Roman versus Brock for a title unification situation.
I mean, it's WWE. They do whatever the hell they want over there.
But you yourself,
I think that they might do that. They might do that. And once again, that also might be my bathroom break for WrestleMania weekend as well. Because again, we've seen it. We've seen it already. Sure. Whether they unified the titles or not. Again, I think it's more of a desperation where they acknowledge that they only could have one title, because again, with the matchup with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, they have nobody for Roman Reigns.
No,
You
I
know?
agree.
So maybe they do, maybe they don't. It's WWE. Who knows?
No, exactly. They could pretty much do anything here. I think Brock retains.
Yeah, I think Brock
Same with you?
retains.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. First of 2 Royal Rumble matches, then let's go about it. The men's Royal Rumble. Let's start with that one. There's as we're recording this on January 21st. So this is the list of people who have been added as of today. Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Austin Theory, Sheamus, Damian Priest, AJ Styles, Big E, Happy Corbin, and Madcap Moss, Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens, and Johnny Knoxville. You need that cross promotion synergy, Alex, right? You got.
It worked last year with Bad Bunny. I just don't think Johnny Knoxville is the move this year, but it's going to be a great movie next month.
Alex, there's an age difference between you and I. It's practically 20 years, okay?
Uh-huh.
I was around and I was watching Jackass, which, 20 some years ago, just about, So when I see Johnny Knoxville popping up in this day and age on WWE programming to pop a rating, one would assume to, attract the demo or whatever. I'm like, what does Johnny Knoxville mean to you? Is that like someone where you go, oh my God,
I think my oh my God moment with Johnny Knoxville is like, oh my God, he looks so old now.
Well, same with me. Ultimately, I'm like, oh my God, what is he doing?
Well, I grew up with an older brother who watched all of the CKY videos. He watched Jackass. Like, I remember watching Viva La Bam and the first episode of Jackass, and my mom's like, I don't think we should watch this. And my brother said, you let her watch wrestling, I think she'll be fine, which I kind of wasn't. But
no, because it wasn't quite the same.
It's not the same thing at all.
Nope.
I felt my age when people were on Twitter saying, who's Johnny Knoxville? So I can only imagine how you felt.
That's the thing. I was seeing the same stuff and I was like, I mean, the guy was an icon, right? Like, like he was invincible. Yeah. Everyone loved him and he was cool.
MTV star, yeah.
Enormous, and everyone sort of like, he was relatable, he was funny, he was an asshole, everything was cool. He just represented, he was a perfect encapsulation. You're like, this guy's great. But I'm like, I don't get it. Like, this I feel is like former glories, and I don't know what it does for WWE, Like, I don't know who's gonna tune in to watch Johnny Knoxville get thrown over the top rope. You know what I mean?
I think I'm convinced that they had a list of people after the whole Bad Bunny thing that happened last year, because that was a huge moment, especially for a younger demographic.
And it turned out well. Yeah, I agree.
And it turned out very well. I mean, he was showing up every single week on TV. He was a 24/7 champion, and he brought that championship to Saturday Night Live, which is, say what you want about Saturday Night Live, the comedy is like these days, but it's still a huge show. People still tune in. That's on NBC, and he had one of the best WrestleMania matches last year.
I agree.
That Canadian Destroyer, come on. I doubt that Johnny Knoxville can pull off a Canadian Destroyer, but when I hear Johnny Knoxville in the Royal Rumble, I'm expecting some kind of shenanigans, because we've seen him. Yeah, it's Jackass. He's a Jackass member. Like, maybe something's going to happen, put him through a flaming table. Who knows? But I don't see what this really does for the Rumble. But I will say, Sami Zayn has really sold me on Johnny Knoxville appearing at the Royal Rumble. And that's all because of Sami Zayn.
Sammy's special. He's very, very, very special. He needs to be protected at all costs, as the saying goes. And here's what's interesting, right? It's like on the women's side, you get, wrestling legend Mickie James gets announced, right? That's like the big whoa. And Johnny Knoxville the big whoa so far? Because right now, everyone who's declared or qualified, or I don't even know how it works anymore, everyone who's been announced so far on the men's side are just like roster, right? Where are the legends? Where'd they go?
They're old now.
Or they're in
some of them, some of them are old, some of them are in AEW, and some of them probably are not getting paid enough to make one appearance a night in WWE, because apparently they're doing budget cuts, brother. So I don't know. Who knows? But I agree. Like, where are the legends with the men? Maybe there was kind of a strategic thing to announce the legends of the women so people would be excited for the women.
Sure. I think that's part of it.
Maybe, but I think that there still will be some surprises at the Royal Rumble. Who knows? There's always been last minute changes.
Oh, of course.
But I just can't think who that might be.
and who's left that would be like a really, really big, like a big surprise. Like, I think, because I saw some people talking about The Rock. Well, I think The Rock, you'd promote that. The Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
That's someone where you're like, that can drain, those mythical casuals, it's like that's someone that's like, oh, Dwayne Johnson is doing this. That I think you promote, if he wasn't completely retired, like, but these days you don't know. You hear about, Sting being, unable to wrestle for the rest of his life, and now look at him go. But like, Stone Cold Steve Austin, if he were to show up, even if it was just to roll under the ropes and stun a couple of guys and then get bounced, but I don't know if he can take any bumps. Like, but I feel like to get any kind of massive, you'd need a guy like Stone Cold. You'd need someone on that level. Otherwise, it's going to be Carlito. So
I personally would pop pretty big for Carlito.
I like Carlito, but we're kind of like, the Steve Austin pop and the Carlito pop. It is
like very much like this. Yeah, I agree. It's very much like this. There were some news that maybe they were opening a forbidden door with the men's Rumble.
Oh, well, Cody Rhodes is going to be in it. I don't know if you heard. Cody Rhodes is going to be in the Royal Rumble. Have you heard?
No, I actually heard Stardust was going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Even better. Whatever happened to that guy?
He got lost in the cosmos.
I personally think it's great that they're sort of that Cody's sort of leaning into it, with the whole, oh, I don't have a contract. It's like, come on, man. You have a contract. You're not showing up to work for free. Stop it. Okay, so let's have a little fun here. Who comes in at number 1?
Johnny Knoxville. And he eliminates the first 5, because why not?
You just want to see.
It's WWE. They might do that.
They might.
Are we going to be happy about it? I don't know. Stay tuned on twitter.com, but
okay, so
I just want to see that app burn in hell.
There you go. So I'm going to give you that the Towering Inferno selection of the day. I'm gonna go with a relatively safe one, Damian Priest. I think
that's a good one.
I think Damian Priest would be a good number 1. Who has the Iron Man performance? The person who stays the longest in the Royal Rumble.
See, I'm tied between Kevin Owens and Big E.
Interesting.
Because I think that the Iron Man position in the Rumble is a huge position to have. I mean, they'll probably end up in the video package before every single Royal Rumble from here on out.
Okay.
With all the statistics, and the Rumble is all about the numbers. But again, I think with Big E, with his recent loss, I think that his light has kind of dimmed a little bit. So I think that having him as a Iron Man having that Iron Man performance, especially after being a former champion, makes sense. And again, with Kevin Owens, he's been with the company for a very long time. He's just resigned. I feel like they have to push him, or maybe there was some kind of agreement to push him a little more.
Sure.
But I think that he also has the potential of being an Iron Man component within that match. And with Kevin Owens, I feel like it would be interesting because he's gonna bring the charisma into it, not
Sure.
that
Oh,
Biggie
absolutely.
can't, but the way that Kevin Owens does it, it's just hilarious.
He's got that in-ring sort of IQ, just on how to present himself, and
Yeah.
that's very, very unique. I'm torn on my
Mhm.
Iron Man because your ideas are pretty good. I'm hesitating between Damian Priest because I kind of feel like they really like him, and I think
Mhm.
this could be a good standout performance for him, especially if he comes in at number one, but doesn't win it, but he stays in the longest, or you bring AJ Styles, because I think that
Mm.
AJ, after spending all this time in this quagmire with in the tag team division, I think a little image rehabilitation might be in order. He's
Mhm.
done it before. Why not do it again? Like, it's entirely credible. And you end that with a guy who's suddenly back into everyone's mind. Clearly, they want to put him as a babyface again, which I think is a great idea. That's what I'd go with. But I'm
That would
torn.
that would also be full circle because he debuted in WWE at the Royal Rumble,
There you go. So why not
right?
give him a good, strong performance? Who
Yeah.
wins then?
Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, come on. That's the show, everyone. Thank you.
Johnny Knoxville, go buy your tickets for Jackass
Blocked.
28.
I'm reporting you once we're done here.
All right. No, I'm torn between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Sami Zayn.
Mhm.
Interesting. Okay. Sami
Yeah.
Zayn winning the Royal Rumble, getting the WrestleMania match. Look at you.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
with his
that's
character work now, going into WrestleMania, like I think it would be good. I feel like not a lot of people understand his character now. I feel like people are a little bit off on it, but I understand it. I love it. I
I
think
love
it's
it.
great. I love it so much. And with that WrestleMania win, to have that under his belt with all his promos, who would he go up against? I don't know.
Well, it'd be Roman, right? Because he's on Smack. Well.
Probably Roman, but maybe Brock Lesnar, which would be
Interesting.
pretty interesting.
Which they do have the history, right? They've already established
Yeah.
this recent history. I think it's a bold prediction. I like it because I love Sammy. I'm a big Sammy guy as well. Maybe I'm gonna go a little safe here, but I'm going with Big E. I think Big
Mm.
E, sort of to go along what you were saying, as far as you seeing him as the Iron Man, I see him as the winner to really establish him as a dominant force, which I feel they didn't quite succeed with his WWE Championship run, because
Mhm.
he was very 50-50. And I don't understand why you 50-50 your champions. That doesn't it Your champion should be, plowing through the competition. That's what he
Yeah.
should be doing. Um, Royal Rumbles are, they're starting points, right? You said it yourself. It's a good starting point for a new fan. It's a starting point, a redo. Like, there's a lot of things that can be reset in a Royal Rumble, and I think Big E would be a high beneficiary of that, and I'd give him a big main event WrestleMania match for sure.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
again, going in, that's a great story to tell,
Yeah,
right? Get your title back, get your reign back, I deserve more. I deserve
absolutely.
more. That fighting power, fighting spirit with
I agree.
Big E, and he doesn't need to change who he is because we love him for who he is.
What isn't that the weirdest? Isn't that the weirdest thing? It was the same thing with Kofi, right? Oh, now he has to be more serious. Why change what brought you to the game in the first place? It,
It's
I don't understand.
So bizarre.
So you're picking Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. You're sort of...
I think I'm going to lock it in with Sami Zayn.
Wow, okay. That's a big, bold prediction. I like it. See, Alex is the dangerous one. I'm the safe one. I'm the guy who's like, let's buckle ourselves in before driving. Now Alex is like,
I want Sami to win. See, but this is the thing. I want Sami to win, but if Big E does win, I'll be rooting right next to him. You know?
I understand. No. Same thing. Absolutely the same. Women's Royal Rumble now. This is where we're at. Last match that has been announced at the time that we're recording this. And much larger roster right now on the women's side. Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, Dana Brooke, Carmella, and Queen Zelina. Tamina, Shotzi Blackheart, Natalia, Aaliyah, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan. Then we get into the special announcements. The Bella Twins, Nikki and Brie, Lita, Michelle McCool, Kelly, Summer Rae, and we've talked about her significantly, Mickie James. So right now, if my math is all right, which it probably isn't because I'm an English major, that's 19 people. 19 women in the Royal Rumble at this point. Now, there's been a lot of releases over the past year. There's been, Toni Storm recently was just like, nope, see you, bye-bye, I'm out. You don't feel like there's really any interest or real synergy with NXT. I don't know. Look, how are they going to fill up the 11 remaining spots here, in your opinion, Alex?
Well, Warren, I'm here to announce that I am putting myself in the Royal Rumble. I am entering at number 69, and I no, but
there we go.
In all seriousness, though. I feel like at this point everyone's just entering themselves in the Rumble, whether it's the men or the women. Because
clearly that's what you can do. Johnny Knoxville did. He opened up his. He got his iPhone open and he's like, "Hey, I'm entering myself in the Royal Rumble. Peace." It's like, okay.
Maybe I slide into the official WWE Twitter account in their DMs, like, "You need another one, brother?" But I mean, so here's the thing. There are 19 women. They've already announced some of the surprise entrants. I think there is a little bit of a disconnect with NXT, but I still do think that they're going to bring up some people. You still have Io Shirai there.
Mm-hmm.
You have the NXT champion Mandy Rose. Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai. Like, there's still really good people that could enter the Rumble. I still do think that there's going to be some surprise entrants. I've heard Paige being thrown around. She's a really good one that could enter and have that surprise, element, that big pop. I've heard AJ Lee. I don't think that's going to happen.
I feel like we get Paige and AJ Lee every year. There's some kind of groundswell every year. It's like Paige, AJ Lee, but
Although it would be a really good moment if AJ Lee does come out to have the current roster and some of the older roster, the older divas like Summer Rae and Kelly and Bellas, and she comes out and she's like, it's that moment, right? WWE loves those moments.
Can you imagine? Now, as much as people lost their minds at Mickie James, if AJ, because of the connection with her boyfriend, I think it would melt people down even harder than what happened with Mickie James if AJ Lee were to pop in,
because with her boyfriend? Oh, her husband. Oh.
Well, yes.
I was like, who's she married? Forgot.
But for real, then people would be like, that would be absolute. It'd be wild on so many levels. Yeah, I'd pop huge for it, and I'm not gonna lie.
I would like it. I absolutely don't think that it will be possible that AJ Lee comes back. I think it's more possible for Paige to come back than AJ Lee. But again, we still have Maurice, Beth Phoenix, although they are competing earlier in the night. They might bring them in.
We've seen double duty in the past.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that big a deal. But yeah, I kind of think that they're going to have to pull into NXT. Maybe bring in Melina.
Yeah, probably Melina. You also have Xia Li on the roster.
Xia Li is on the. You're absolutely right, and she had what they bring her in that 1 week, and they do like that, Eternals, superpowers, thing, and then nothing. Then it's like, no, right. Vince didn't like it. Clearly, Vince didn't like it.
I don't understand it. And she had a good show out at the Royal Rumble 2019. So I don't know. Who knows with that company?
So okay, well let's have a little fun again with this one here. Who comes in at number 1?
I think the person to come in at number 1 should probably be this is going to be a bold choice. I'm tied between Naomi or someone from NXT. Maybe Io Shirai could come in at number 1, just like how Bianca came in at number 1 at the 2020 Royal Rumble, where you have that like, oh man, now they're bringing anybody in here, Those are my predictions. Who do you think?
No, the Naomi one is interesting. See, I hadn't thought about Naomi, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like they don't have any faith in her, because the number of times that they stopped her pushes, as insignificant as they were in the long term, I don't think they really believe in her. But let's say you did want to, again, like I was saying with the men, Royal Rumble is a time for resets, for reboots, for, redos. If you want to rehabilitate Naomi in the eyes of fans and so on and so forth, and get her back into the top position, have her come in at number 1, have her have a great showing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could get behind that. See, I was thinking Charlotte Flair, because that's the most Charlotte Flair thing to do.
I forgot she was in the Rumble.
Which, yep, again this year. And I think she was number 1 last year. I think she went in at number 1. I could be wrong. I can check. But
I don't think that she was number 1.
She was
I do
early.
remember. Yeah, maybe she was early. I don't remember.
Here, let's pull it up real quick here. But because it's always, to me, is always the most Charlotte Flair thing to do, right?
It is a perfect Charlotte Flair move for her to come out.
Yeah, I don't think she was first.
As champion.
But she was early on. She was very, very early. Which is weird, because I kind of miss the days when coming in at number 1 was kind of like a death sentence, for some. Where it's like, oh, no one wants to come in at number 1 except for your really top baby faces that want to prove themselves, Otherwise, it's just like, you come in at number 1, you're not going to win. It's a death sentence. You're not winning the Royal Rumble because you're first, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it works for Charlotte. And I sometimes I feel like I'm the last surviving Charlotte Flair fan, but I
love Charlotte too. I think she gets a bad rep, and
she really does.
I think she gets a bad rep because other people book the show. That's really what it is.
I agree.
Who
has the Iron Woman performance?
I think it's going to be Naomi.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be Naomi. And wherever she shows up, whether it is number 1 or in the middle, I think she, again, like we were saying, this is the opportunity to have that reset with certain superstars.
Mm-hmm.
And Naomi, I mean, say what you will about the feud, but at least she has somewhat of a feud with Sonya Deville.
Mm-hmm.
She has something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be cool if she is the Iron Woman in this Royal Rumble. And there is a theme with my picks for this Rumble, because I feel like this is Naomi's time. She's been with the company for so long. She is a former two-time SmackDown champion, and they have given her nothing but dust. I
Mm-hmm.
think a Royal Rumble win under her belt again is the reset that she needs, especially beginning of the year. We're fresh into 2022 on the road to WrestleMania. She is one of the most athletic women on that roster right
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
Like, her matches with Charlotte so far in SmackDown the past few weeks have been really, really great. They've been great. So I think having her coming in, and especially bringing that element of the story of Sonya Deville, like sending Shayna Baszler out, sending Raquel Gonzalez out to attack Naomi, that tells a really great story. And there's plenty of other stories to tell, but that is a legitimate story going into the women's Royal
Okay,
Rumble.
I can buy that. Which makes me think that Sonya Deville might actually be in the Royal Rumble. She might be one of those bodies that need
Maybe she'll be the final boss for Naomi.
for Naomi. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's very interesting. I was going with Bianca, because
Oh God.
they like Bianca, and Bianca has everything you need to make a good, credible Iron Woman performance, just like spending the longest amount of time in there, and then
She did it last year because she came in
mm-hmm,
at number 3,
mm-hmm.
so she could do it again. Yeah,
I think so. That's what I'm feeling. Who do you think is going to win now?
Naomi.
Just okay. So Naomi is just like, it's a clean
Run
sweep
across
this year.
the board. Yes, I want it. I need it in my heart.
Okay.
I really feel like this should be her year. There's so many people that love Naomi. I think, especially again going back to the 2020 Royal Rumble, that was a huge moment when she returned. Her
Mm-hmm.
pop was huge. There was a huge moment online, and especially on Black Wrestling, not Black Wrestling Twitter, but Black Twitter. Like, there was a lot of people that were like, "Who's this?
I
Should I
remember.
start
Oh yeah,
watching wrestling? Like, who is this?"
absolutely.
I think even Kiki Palmer tweeted her out and was just like, I want to know who this is. Or somebody tweeted her out and was just like,
Everyone was
I need
losing
to
their
know
mind.
who this is.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So again, you have that behind you. You have that behind you. And especially if we're going into WrestleMania and we got to sell some tickets, I think that Naomi is a good choice. And whether she goes against Becky, Charlotte, I see her going against Charlotte. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
think I think Becky doesn't really make any sense. Again, I do think that the WrestleMania match with Becky should be against Bianca, but I don't think that Bianca needs a Royal Rumble win to
I agree.
go to WrestleMania. I think that it makes more sense for Naomi, especially with how much they've put her down within the last few months, not even weeks, but it's been a
It's been a
long
long time.
time. A long, long time.
Okay. All right, I'll
Am I
buy
making
that.
you
I'll
change
buy
your
that.
answer?
No,
Making
no,
you
no.
change your answer a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, no, I'll buy that. I'll go into that. I think Naomi, because I'm especially looking like at the SmackDown roster, and I'm like there's
There's really nobody unless they are bringing in Lita or Beth Phoenix. And again, yes, that would be great. You've sold me on that. You sold me on Lita coming back at SmackDown last week. But with Naomi, it just makes sense, especially if you have Charlotte, who is that heel, that queen heel, and she has the confidence that she has. It makes sense to have Naomi, this super baby face, and build her as a super baby face.
I
And you
mean,
could do it at the Royal Rumble.
they have been heating her up with the feud with Sonya Deville, which is something that they don't do. Maybe that's an indication. Maybe that's an indication. Because look, I know there's a lot of people who are like, Bianca two Pete's, but like I think at this stage, I don't think Bianca needs the validation of a Royal Rumble to be like to be put in a title match position. And again, on Raw, I think that I think the writing's on the wall, regardless of who wins the Royal Rumble on Raw. It's Becky and Bianca going into WrestleMania. And I would much rather because we saw it last year in the way they handled the build-up to Sasha and Bianca. Not the match itself, which was I enjoyed tremendously. But the build-up, I think it's more interesting if Bianca has to work her way to the title as opposed to having the opportunity handed to her and she just... Because that's what happened last year. You know, it's like, I'm going to WrestleMania. Well, I'm the champ. And there really wasn't any spice to the feud in and about itself. Everyone was excited for the match, but week after week is like, okay. They're just standing around and I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. And then they point to the sign and then they go away kind of thing. You know, it's like...
Didn't they also do a whole bunch of like, can they coexist with Sasha and Bianca?
And that's something that
year?
I would be fine if they didn't do that either. But
I would be fine if they never did it ever again for the future of the company.
For sure. Look, you got me. Let's do Naomi. Let's go with Naomi this year. I'm absolutely okay with that. Makes sense. All right.
But I think if we had a second choice, Liv Morgan would also be a good choice for Royal Rumble win. And I think a lot of people are still rooting for Liv Morgan to have that Royal Rumble win.
There are a lot of people who are rooting for sure. For sure.
She's an honorary mention for for a winner.
Yes, on the B our B selection, our sub selection. So we can still say, "Oh, we had thought of it."
Yeah.
So there we go though. So that's the Royal Rumble overall, Alex. Like, if you were to just give a gut feeling, do you think it's going to be an okay show, a good show, a bad show? What's your feeling?
I think it'll be a good show. I think it'll be a good show. There's been shows where it didn't get really good builds and it still turned out to be a good show. I'm very interested to see the shenanigans that the booking's gonna pull off for this show. But I think overall it's gonna be a good show.
I think it always hinges on the Royal Rumble matches because they're long matches just by the nature of their composition, right? It always, I feel like a good Royal Rumble show often hinges on whether or not the Rumble matches themselves are good. So fingers crossed every year. Alex, that'll do it for us. Thank you very much, so very much, for taking time to join me today. I really, really appreciate it. One more time, let people know where they can find you on everything. So I'm Queen of the Ring everywhere. On Twitter, you got to add 2 G's at the end of that because someone took my name. I don't know what happened. Instagram _Queen of the Ring. Also follow me on or subscribe to my YouTube channel, Queen of the Ring Wrestling there. But also you could join me every week on twitch.tv/Queen of the Ring. We watch women's wrestling on Wednesdays. We watch Total Divas on Sundays. And we also do SmackDown and Rampage watch-alongs on Fridays. So it's a really great community. It's really open, very inclusive, especially with everyone who loves wrestling. And that's where you can follow me. There you go. There you go. And it's always a delight, and it's a good time. A good community that Alex has going there. Absolutely. So go check it out. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Yes. And also, Church of Joshi. How can I forget? Church of Joshi. Got to follow Church of Joshi. Every Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. We just cover Joshi wrestling. We cover different wrestlers, different promotions. And it's a great start if you've ever wanted to get into that new style of wrestling. It's not new, but, new probably to some other people. So definitely check us out there.
Exactly. Just because it's new to you doesn't mean that it's new. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know. But yes, follow, and all these links are going to be in the description, of course, so for easy access. Alex, thank you again so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
I had fun too. Yes.
Can't wait to watch the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone as well for taking the time to listen to this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it everywhere. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, I appreciate it. Do some ratings and all that good stuff. Appreciate it tons. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the Royal Rumble, and see you next time.